If you ask me, we were taught that life moves in a straight line, but in hindsight, it really does not. Hello there. Hi, everybody. It is Megan Holly, and this is the next episode of Magic Made. I am so glad you are here with me, just hanging out. As always, it's kind of the best day of the week if you ask me. And today we're going to kind of talk about the concept that we've kind of been taught, and many of us probably have just clamped down in our brains that growth is just steady and linear and just so. And I just know that we all deep down feel that that's not the case, but the kind of the comparison and the stress that can come from thinking, oh, I need to just keep moving down this trajectory, this growth, movement is vast. It's in a lot of our brains. I know that that's kind of the way I operate, that if it doesn't look like a little stair step, jump, 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 then we're not doing it right. We're never going to get where we're going, all the things. And so today we're going to talk about that whole idea and really just kind of tapping into the idea that nothing's wrong with us when things maybe to a little bit of a back step or a cha-cha or something. I had to relate it to dance because, well, if you know, you know. But this is okay. This is normal. In fact, that's exactly what life is really about, because if it were this just bullet train to something, anything, whatever it is, where's the fun in that anyway? It just wouldn't be fun. And so the constant bombarding that we need to have constant just progress and forward movement is exhausting. It is exhausting to think that if we're not constantly shifting and changing. And this is coming from somebody. Hold on a second. Woo! I know you're probably going, wait. Aren't we? We're always kind of talking about growth and shifts and all that around here. Yes, but within reason. Like the gentle movement towards something doesn't have to look like this hard, fast line, right? So the constant bombardment of the idea that progress just needs to just be just so is very overwhelming. And so we're going to kind of debunk that today. We're going to talk through the idea that hustle culture has got to go. I think we're on the upswing of it being a little bit of the past, because that whole hustle, all the things, that whole sentiment just isn't good for long-term sustainability. Now, do we need to hustle our booties when we need to get something done or meet a deadline? Of course, there's hustle moments. Let's have them in moments captured in time. But as a whole, we shouldn't be living in hustle, right? That is a recipe for getting to the end of life and going, what did I just do? How did I even get through all of this? Where did the time go? It's a true recipe for that. And so if you're still struggling with hustle culture or feeling less than, if you're not just in constant state of forward movement, this episode is for you. So come on, sit down. We're here. We're doing it. Because this is coming from your girl who has definitely identified as, a hustle and bustle kind of gal. And I've been in really heavy seasons of that. And has it been prosperous in certain ways? Of course. Has it been detrimental in other ways? Also, of course. Yes. 100%. 3,000%, as I like to say. Because duality, first of all, exists. So anything that's going to, produce good results is also going to have some setbacks. And if the setback is to constantly feel under the wire, that cannot continue. So that's coming. This is who it's coming from. Somebody who's just like, let's do this, let's do that, let's go. Until I realized that you can go and you can move forward and you can have expansiveness. You can meet goals. What? You can meet a goal without just crunching and creating such a heavy feeling? You can. And in fact, you might meet them faster when you take a breath, when you just give yourself a moment to be there in the process. I mean, honestly, that's kind of part of it. When we're resting, like a really good sign that you are burnt out or still battling hustle culture is that when you're resting, you feel as though you're not doing anything. You're not worthy. You're never going to accomplish anything. It's not good. That is a sign that your brain is going, alert, alert, alert. We're never going to get to the other side of this. We're never going to get there. What are you doing? Right? That is something we need to take note of. So if that is ringing true for you, take a moment, take a breath, and just acknowledge it, at least for now, right? We can't just like unearth all of that in this exact second, but you can at least acknowledge it, and acceptance is part of, right, progress. And so what can you do? What's a step? What's one thing to kind of let go of that constant need for momentum, that constant need for a change, for it to look different, for it to feel different, right? And this can be in any facet of life. This could be in building your business, a goal. It could be in your, family life. It could be in being more creative. It can be really all the things, but what are you kind of putting pressure on to be constantly in the next step, right? And if you're not currently present in the step you're in, the next step's going to be shakier. It's going to be like the house that's still being built and you went to the step that hasn't been nailed down yet and put your weight on it and it went sideways. That's exactly what's going to happen. Instead of just focusing on the first 4 steps that are already there, solid and good, and letting those breathe, letting those move. And maybe if you focus on them in maybe a different light, you might even see more opportunity within them before having to push yourself into something more or different or maybe unnecessary, honestly. So don't step on that board that's going to really catapult you into some problems. Linear expectations, when we're thinking of this linear idea of growth and constant change, it doesn't leave any room for being human. What? Right? Because being human is innately ebbing and flowing. It is innately creating change and space organically without even trying. So then add on the layers of like slathering on overworked, over kind of productive goals, ideas, visualizations, all the things. What are we doing? So we need to leave room for being human because we innately are going to shift and change just by existing, right? And finding the happy balance of that is going to be really important for us to be able to get to the other side of this. I promise you that. And so if we leave room for that humanness, and guess what? It's a beautiful thing to accept being that. We're able to honor our seasons, our creativity, even our rest better. Everything moves in cycles, including you. Everything moves in cycles, including you, right? Seasons change. Your washing machine has cycles, right? It changes in its process. Now, albeit you can argue that that one's like very like linear in its own regard, but there's different settings. We can change it up. We can do this. We can change. I know at least in mine, I can put a standard setting on, but I can change the temperature or the this or the that. So there is different ways about it. It doesn't have to be just so. And so how does that affect, or I should say, how do you embrace that for yourself? How do you embrace that kind of idea that we can morph and shift within that? It doesn't need to be so much of a line, but it can be a circle, a cycle, a dance. It could be all of those things. Like literally and honestly, how can you change that visual in your mind to support you? We also, I think, we need to be more honored. And I kind of talked about this in another episode about being more quiet and more intentional with being quiet and restorative and restful and all the things. What if we let that be a part of our linear moving forward? You know what I mean? Like I have found in recent, like the last for sure year that I can kind of like put a little bit of a timestamp on it. The last year, I have been able to take a little bit more. Like the one time I was like, oh my God, I would never have in the past taken a weekend or like a long weekend or whatever it was off during this time, because this is usually my busiest time of the year for my business, for my clients, all the things. And I was off. Actually, no, I was off the whole week. We had an out of town wedding. We did a little 10-year anniversary, and I was gone that whole week in the height of what is typically my busiest time and season. And I was just like, you know what, linearly, if I think about it, linearly, I would have been like, this is how this month and this week and these times work for me. I will not change it. I will keep moving. I will push forward. I will do all the things. But when I've been working through some of this stuff, I realized, no, this is exactly what I need. I need to go celebrate that I've been married to someone for 10 years. And I'm going to go celebrate somebody else was getting married in our family that same week, that weekend. I'm going to go celebrate other people's joyous celebrations. I am not going to let linear thinking of like, well, no, I can't do that. Or if I stop, I won't see the results that I need. You know what I mean? So I use that as an example because it's so kind of important to really stop and smell the roses. Like, what's making sense for us right now? What are we telling ourselves that's not true too? That's like another thing to think about, right? It ebbs and flows. We have quiet seasons. We have active seasons. We have all the things. And what if I didn't let that be a quiet, I mean, I wouldn't call it a quiet season because we were traveling and doing all the things, but it was quiet in the sense that it wasn't the normal bustling of that time in my business and my life. What if I didn't do that? I would have missed out. I would have missed out on that. And how sad is that to think? The other thing we have to remember is like when we're in these different seasons and we're allowing the dance of change and shifts and growth to go backwards or down a different route or look different, feel different. All of that is not stagnation. To take a moment of stillness, to take a different approach is not stagnation. It is not scary. It is not losing. It's not a losing battle because it looks different, feels different, all the things. I promise you. So when we can replace ease with urgency, we can start to understand this differently. And I think that probably for me is the hardest part of this whole process of allowing growth to be more of a human and natural thing, is like letting the ease in. Because again, going back to society has told us everything is hard, that we need this, and this to be able to even make that more easy, have more ease within it, all the things, right? So ease, because I want to complicate things. Are you an overcomplicator? Are you? Because yes, I am, but I'm also not as much as I used to be, which is a win. Is a win is a win is a win. I used to overcomplicate everything. Like if taking like being here and recording at the podcast, like I would have overcomplicated that. Like something needs to be exactly like this and da 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 da. And oh my gosh, if I don't have the exact perfect words to say and all the things, it would have been like, well, I'm not doing it at all then. Never mind, which is so unrealistic. I would never have done anything. I wouldn't be here talking to you because I would have been like, nope. Can't look like that. Can't feel like that. Can't be like that. Right? So where are you doing that to yourself? Where are you holding yourself back because you're thinking, well, I can't just let ease come in. I have to have perfection within it. I'm a recovering perfectionist. Join me. It's a good feeling. It's a beautiful feeling, in fact, because it's something that we all need to tap into a little bit more, is letting go of it, something being just so, of it feeling just a certain way. There is no right or wrong in your life, in your business, in your goals, and all the things. There is not. There is people out there that will tell you there's the exact thing to do for success in whatever success means to you. But that's kind of, we've been watching Big Bang Theory lately, rewatching it. And Sheldon always says hokum. That's hokum. It's not, yes, there are best practices. Yes, there are helpful ways of doing things. Of course. Don't let me, I'm all about strategy and all the things in the right places and spaces. But there is no one way to anything. So if you can bring ease into something, bring ease into your life, at least bring it into your kind of way of looking at where you want to go, you're going to do yourself so much of a favor. I promise you. And so that leads me into kind of my last kind of anchoring thoughts here, is that we can have more self-trust, less self-criticism. And I think that might be the key to some of this, because the key to not having to be so stringent on what growth and life looks like is trusting yourself more, trusting that sometimes you need something that maybe you didn't need before, or you need it differently, or you need more time. I promise you. Because then when we start doing that, we'll give ourselves less self-criticism, and then we allow life to unfold a little bit more, right? I'm a firm believer that our energy and our actions meet together when it comes to growth. And so if we can allow our energy to be more ease and more flow, and then our actions are more purposeful and intentional, you're going to hit those goals, baby. You're going to get there. You're going to move towards them, and it's going to feel better. You might even celebrate a little bit more. You know, I'm all about celebrating. Really, literally. As I'm recording this, I just sent out like my new revamped for the year, which I'm so excited about, newsletter, which if you're not on, get on it. The links should be in all of my show notes and all the bios and all the things. Get on there, because we celebrate something. It might be minute. It might be major, it might be other people we're celebrating, is all the things. But like, if we have more ease and intention, we'll be able to celebrate and be more excited about the things that do come along into our lives, because we are there. We are with it. We aren't so depleted from getting there. How many times have you been there? I know I have. How many times have you been there where you've accomplished something so wonderful, and like maybe it was like a stretch of your comfort zone, and you were like so tired, you're just like, I just need to go to bed and like numb out, which is not good. We just talked about that on a previous episode. That's not what we need. We want to be able to be there, intentional, and we can't be on this like hard and fast lane, to something to then give up the fun side of it. What the heck are we doing? We're not doing anybody any justice, especially ourselves, which is where it starts, right? And so I don't feel, here's a little thing to just chew on, sit with, and maybe take a deep breath with. I don't feel as though life is asking us to push. It's asking us to like listen and get quiet. I don't feel that life is asking us for a push. It's asking us to listen and get quiet. The people around us are asking for that. The people that love us most want us in that space, in that zone, because not only do they see us shine, they see you shine, they then can shine brighter. You can then all celebrate things more. And so be sure that you're taking a moment, because I know for my own self, I am working on rushing myself less and embracing it all more. And so let me know if there's somewhere that kind of popped up for you in this conversation. Is there something that works for you when you are finding more ease? What do you do to find more ease in your life? Is it something that you enjoy doing? What brings you ease that you can kind of stop and do more of, so that you can not feel so rushed? And when you start to feel rushed, last little sentiment here, when you start to feel like you're zipping into a rush or a gotta get it done that's unnecessary, especially, what can you do to pull it back? How can you find more of yourself within it and not other people and other thoughts and other things and expectations? I hope this episode lands right with your heart exactly when you need it. And if you are new here or have not yet, please take a moment to subscribe, hang out with me, get notifications for our weekly episodes. We also have a bunch of short form content that's always popping up, especially on YouTube. So come and join it. I love chatting with you all. So don't hesitate to just be in this world and share your special light. Speaking of light, if you've seen any magic out there in the world lately, whether it's a beam of light, a beautiful sun going through the trees, a rainbow on the floor as you walk, Whatever it is, send me all of your magic. Send me the beauty. Tag me in your photos, your videos, all the things. I love seeing it. Together we can make more magic just happen. And, as the sign says, and this podcast kind of alludes to, is we're making our own magic because we make it ourselves. That is what we do. So have a beautiful one, and I will see you next time. La